Good to be here.
Oh, it
Andy,
sure
great.
is. It's
I'm so
wonderful to
glad
be
you're
here.
here.
Thank you.
So thank you for bringing us this program. I've asked everybody that has come to talk to us about how you came to bring this music that you brought to SuperState. What led you to this program?
This literature?
Yeah.
I typically listen to literature and the same literature from year to year because sometimes you might have the players and some years not. So
Sure.
this particular year, the Vientos y Tangos, the Gandolfi piece we played first, it has some really challenging trumpet parts, some high trumpet parts, and we have a couple kids that they've developed into some pretty good trumpet players. And so it was the right literature for those kids, and then we have other sections that are pretty strong. So I think like all directors, we try to show off our strengths and try to stay away from our weaknesses.
Sure. I always appreciate coming to places in the band world where homage is paid to the staple, the sort of where it came from. You stand on the shoulders of giants, right? So I'm loving this from every band, and this celebrations piece from Mr. Zedeklek.
Yes.
This is not one that I think a lot of people know. So where did you come to this?
It was brought to my attention back in 1991, and Ray Kramer, who was at Indiana University, went ahead and did it with his Indiana band. And then someone sent me a recording of it and said, check this out. And there was a new piece at that time, and then I listened to it, and I fell in love with it. So I've done that piece probably 3 or 4 times in my 24 years at Wheeling High School. I love it because it's exciting, it's very celebratory, hence the name, but it's lots of flourishes for the woodwinds, and it just gives everyone a little something to do, but it's also a pretty magnificent piece of music.
Yeah, really fantastic. I loved his music. My mom taught nursing and psychology at Lakewood Community College, where he worked for forever. So it's an interesting connection. So you've been at Wheeling High School for 24 years?
24 years.
You're 24?
Yes, sir.
Were you somewhere before that?
Yes, I taught middle school for 8 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
You don't look old enough to be teaching
God
for
bless
that
you.
many years.
Thank you very much. No, I've been teaching for, this is year 32 now, all in Illinois, but middle school for 8 years, and then high school, and I've been at the same high school all this time.
Wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
I love it there.
That's great. Are you from Illinois?
I am. My music upbringing has been from Illinois. I kind of bounced around a lot. My father had different jobs as a kid, but I started music in Illinois in 5th grade in the Buffalo Grove area. Went through their programs. Went to college at Vanderbilt College of Music, Buffalo High School, college at Vanderbilt College of Music, and then started teaching.
Wonderful,
Yeah.
wonderful. So I was listening to you describe about picking literature, and I'm thinking about a lot of the young music educators that are watching, and especially ones that are in school about to becoming what you've been doing for so long and doing so well, clearly, because the band sounded wonderful.
Thank you.
When you come across a piece of music and you hear it at the Midwest Clinic, or you're listening to a CD from a band or something, and you listen and you're like, oh yeah, that's got a hard trumpet thing, and that's got a bassoon trio, or something like that, and you kind of make those sort of notes, and it goes on the shelf for when that moment happens in your band.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep. And I tend to listen to the same literature. Usually the summer is when I pull out all my CDs, and I start listening, and then every summer, after I listen to those CDs, it's a different list. And this particular piece, Vientos y Tangos, actually I have to give a big thank you to Andrew Beckwith. Andrew Beckwith is a band director at Lockport High School, and he's a tremendous knowledge of literature, and so he shared that with me a few years ago. I heard it and I fell in love with it, but didn't think we quite had the horses at that time, and now we do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wonderful. That's so great. The selection of literature, I think, in my experience of watching young directors roll out of the universities that are close to me and watching programming failures, is when they roll out and the first thing they do at their inner city high school with 18 kids in the wind ensemble is play the last 4 pieces they played at their last college wind ensemble
doesn't
concert.
work.
Exactly. I think that's one of the things that when you're a junior and senior in college and you're thinking about being a music education, a band director, that to familiarize yourself with grade 1, 2, 3, 4 in depth has to be one of your homework assignments.
Absolutely. Yeah, and that's why Midwest, you mentioned Midwest earlier, the Midwest Band Clinic is great because every performing ensemble is required to play a grade 1, a grade 2, a grade 3, in addition to more challenging literature. And so that's a great opportunity for young directors to kind of start getting an idea of literature that's out there, because there's a lot of great literature for young bands, and there's great literature to teach concepts so you can kind of gradually work to grade 4, and then maybe grade 5 and beyond. to
Right.
grade 6 eventually.
Exactly, that's wonderful information. So I've also asked, as we listening to Libertyville High School come onto the stage now. So I'm coming to your band room, and I'm your new assistant, and I'm just my first day on the job, and I've rolled out, and everybody, Charlie McGeaney gave me my degree, and I'm come with highest honors, right? But we know that I don't know anything. So what's next for me? What do I got to get under my belt really quick to be successful in the first semester of being a band director?
I think young directors, and I surely am guilty of this, when I started Wheeling High School, I wanted to play the great literature right away. We didn't have a great band, but I had great ideas about what we could do, and so I wasn't quite ready to do that. So I think I overprogrammed as a young teacher at the high school level. But then once I went ahead and realized we have to do more teaching, more fundamentals, and that's really about it. That's it. Is high school kids need fundamentals just as much as grade school, just as much as middle school kids. And once they're fundamentally sound, making good sounds, have good technique, then you're ready to go ahead and do that more advanced literature. So I think I would tell a young director or any director, start slow and be successful. Pick literature that your kids can play, and then play at a really high level. So you're teaching excellence, you're teaching musicianship, not trying to have them reach for something that's not quite attainable.
That's wonderful. Wonderful words of wisdom from Brian Logan, Director of Bands at Wheeling High School. As we get ready for Libertyville High School coming onto the stage now, this is sort of none of the directors that were there then were there, but it warms my heart to think about Libertyville, because when I started my career as a soloist, I was living in Evanston, and I didn't have a career as a soloist. I had a career as a private lesson teacher, and Don Shroop and Frank Listina had me into the school every day teaching private lessons for those kids.
They're legends.
Yeah.
They're great. And Don's a good friend. I know Frank well. They're just great guys.
Yeah, they adopted me. And Chris Bianco, who's now at Western Washington University, was there teaching a young teacher. And I just had a great time that year. So I'm looking forward to hearing this piece of music. They're going to play for us today Philip Sparks' Dance Movements. This was a piece commissioned by the United States Air Force Band in 1996 and premiered at the Florida Music Educator Conference. And I think this was when Philip Spark broke out in the United States. He'd been a huge writer in Europe and the UK for a long time, particularly on the brass band scene, and had been sitting steadfast every year at the studio music booth at the Midwest Clinic, waiting for people to discover his music. And this piece of music brought by the Air Force Band really broke him out into widespread knowledge in the wind band arena in the United States. So looking forward to hearing this piece of music from British composer Philip Spark called Dance Movements, brought to us today by their Director of Bands, Adam Gore, from Libertyville High School. And I've just been talking to Brian Logan from Wheeling High School. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Thanks for hanging out and talking to
Pleasure.
us. Good luck today.
Thanks.
Tell the kids bravo.
All right, sure will. Thank you very much.
Thanks for tuning in. This is the 2015 Illinois SuperState Concert Band Festival here at the campus of the University of Illinois. Let's go into the hall right now and enjoy Libertyville High School.